So what are we saying when we're saying we want an alpha male? Because remember, we weren't playing basketball.
Right.
We're saying we want a male that we see all these tendencies with at the top, securing the bag. He's the leader. He's this and that. But when we're having someone that's working so hard to purport a certain demeanor, so hard to be recognized, you said the Napoleon complex, short man syndrome, too much ego, insecure. Where's that rooted from? He's not comfortable.
Yep.
He's stressed.
Yep.
He's insecure.
Yeah.
He's got some concerns. And as a result, he's acting out. That's not a behavior that I would recommend that someone look for when they want to cleave to someone and create a home.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Romance and Real Estate, where we
help you level up in life, love,
and money.
All right, so this time they got a lot of stuff out their system. So now they brought up a subject that I feel that is very what's the word I want to use? I think is going to bring up some questions.
Okay.
As an athlete in high school and college, I felt that men, when we're out there, like some of us tend to phrase the superior, the dominant guys on the playing field, regardless of the sport, a dog, the alpha, the leader to a degree sometimes, the force behind the team, the go-to guy. But more so, I think that the phrase alpha is like, you think of the Jordans, the Kobe's, the Shaquille O'Neal's, when we're talking football, Lawrence Taylor, guys that just, these guys are elite athletes, but these guys were just a force above.
Yes.
And so then, the other guys, not that they're not superior athletes, but they weren't deemed as alpha. They're deemed more as role players. Not beta, that's a little bit too far, but the support, as in contrast to the alpha, was the one that's going to close the deal for us. And so I think that a lot of us inherit that into an ego that we then that follows us in our lives.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes our egos, we may be looking at ourselves with a different type of lens that others are.
Right.
So y'all mentioned that there's no such thing as an alpha.
Correct.
I'm intrigued to learn.
Okay. Let me say, because we've been talking here, which I think is important, about context and keeping things in context.
Correct.
So when you just spoke about alpha, you spoke about it with respect to sports and athleticism. So I want, if we could just, before we shift to share our perspective, what does that look like in relationships? The ego that you just mentioned. Did you say like dominant and competitive? And were those the behaviors that you referenced? Okay. So if we use dominant and competitive, and now we're looking at it through the lens of a relationship, can you tell me what that looks like? You were talking about Kobe and Michael. And okay, so what does that look like in love?
I'm not speaking for everybody again. I'm speaking for myself. I don't use those words. I don't use the word alpha. I've never said I'm an alpha male, but I've been told that I am. And so I was just like, personally, any dude that come through like that, portraying to be an alpha male, he got some type of insecurity. That's just my angle. That's my judgment on the individual. I just feel that I'm going to do whatever I have to do in my relationship to make sure that we're okay, or that we achieve, or that we execute. And so there's times where I'm not the leader, and there's times where I am the leader. So when I come to the crib and there's a bunch of weeds in the goddamn grass, I'm just going to take the initiative to get the weeds.
Right.
If we buy a TV and it needs to be hung, I'm going to take the time to hang the TV. If there's a school conference with a teacher parent, I'm going to be present in there, you know. But when we go to something like that, we're both parents. So I don't look at myself like I'm the leader.
Yeah.
I'm just doing my part.
Yeah.
And I feel that there's times where in the kitchen, when I cook, y'all get spaghetti, rice, chicken. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We gonna get some salad, the iceberg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We didn't even get
like,
no name.
but when she cooks, she's like, what do you want? Like, what do you want with it? Like, she cooking the gourmet meals. So I wouldn't say she is leading in that aspect. I don't know that I would say she's an alpha in the kitchen. So I don't use that terminology. I just understand that it's a balanced beam of how things work in my house. So I can't.
I love this. This is perfect. And we didn't talk about this before.
Okay, so I can't reference it like, I don't think like, but it's just like, somebody knocking at the door.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up first.
I got
and
you.
I'm going to be at the door.
Yeah. I just have one. I love what you're sharing. And I love that we have not discussed this. You have no idea what our perspective is on this, but this is so perfect. One more thing. And I do find it curious that when you were expressing what alpha is with sports, you didn't feel the need to clarify that you weren't speaking for everyone. You said with your full chest, this is what it is in sports. But then when I ask about relationships, it's, well, I mean, I don't speak for everyone, but this is, it's fun. It's something there. You know, it's
so I agree.
When we go to relationships, but here's what I need you to do for me. I would love for you to do for me. Can you tell me what that ego looks like in relationships? I understand it's not you, but just from your perspective, you can tell me what that looks like in sport. It was very descriptive. I'm with you. Can you try to tell me, what does that look like? That you are not. What does that alpha behavior look like in relationships?
Little man syndrome.
And what is little man syndrome?
An insecure dude that feels like he lacks somewhere, therefore he has to portray.
And what is he portraying?
That he's bigger than what he is.
And how does he portray that?
Words.
Like, what does it look like? What actions are he?
It seems extra to me. It doesn't seem organic.
Okay, you know how you gave the example in your household of what the partnership and what a team looks like?
Yeah.
If he's an alpha male inside of his house, what actions is he
very
taking?
Controlling.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, and I'm just trying to think of when I've witnessed that, right? Very controlling, insecure, defensive.
Okay, that's what you got. Okay. All right. This is good. Okay. So, do you know where that phrase came from?
I do not.
Right. And we have shared that words have power. I believe we can all agree that words have power. We determine what we allow that to do and how it impacts our actions and our responses, but words have power. What is hurting our community is this, what is the heralding, the respect, the admiration for this alpha male from the female perspective. Okay. When you first addressed it, which makes sense, you addressed it from the male perspective as it relates to athleticism and sports. But the perspective I would like to speak on, and we would like to speak on today, is that alpha male that is being desired that is actually not so healthy in relationships. Correct. I'm sure you would share and agree that you've heard women say, I want an alpha male.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you heard that? I want an alpha male. And they ain't playing basketball.
Right.
That's not what they're saying. They're saying, I want an alpha male as my man.
Yep.
I want an alpha male as my partner.
When they say that, my opinion is that they want a dude that is getting bread, getting to the bag. It's that he is will take control, that he will initiate, that he ain't taking no shit. And that would be like the sum of it for me.
And so we have this pictorial that you may have seen, a visual where there's an iceberg. And what you see is the tip above the water and you don't realize what's underneath, right? So even though we're saying we want that, I'm just being nice. I'm not saying that. But even though it's common to be said that we want this alpha male and we want all these things at the top that we see, what's not being given credence is what's underneath that is impacting how that is being manifested. What is underneath, that is the root of that, right? And that's what I want to help. You said, tell a friend to tell a friend. Please tell a friend to tell a friend this. The term alpha male was actually coined by a scientist named David Meck. He wrote a book back in 1968. And just like I said, the name of the book escapes me. So one second. He wrote a book and it was called The Wolf, Ecology and Behavior of an Endangered Species. Google that. When he penned the book in 1968, it was published in 1970. What he observed were wolves that were in captivity. When he observed the wolves in captivity, he noticed that when they were put all together and left alone, eventually one was going to dominate. Everyone else was going to be sub to that dominant alpha male. And that's when he said, oh, this one is the alpha and the rest of these are beta. When you put wolves together, they create a pack and one of them is going to be the leader. One of them is going to dominate. He's going to compete until he is the star. Everybody else just plays a role, right? And so it was such a catchy phrase. And for years, we've been saying alpha male. And we've applied it to sports, but we've also applied it to relationships.
Absolutely.
Well, that same scientist who coined the phrase alpha male in 1999 observed that same breed of wolves in the wild. And what he found is that when those wolves were in the wild, they did not operate the same way. Their behavior was much different. They did not compete. They did not fight. There was not just a kneeling down until one dominated. In fact, in the wild, that male wolf and the female wolf would co-dominate. Much like you said, things are going down in your household. See, when he was in captivity, he was under duress. He was stressed. He was pressured. He was captive. He was not in his native environment and home, and he was acting out. But when he was in the wild, in his native sanctuary, he was at peace. He was at rest. He didn't need to do all of that. And David Meck observed this, and in 1999 published that, you know what? That's actually not a thing. We need to stop printing it. Went to his publisher and said, stop printing the book. And the publisher said, no, this is lucrative. We are making sales. We continue to make sales decade after decade. We will continue to publish this book. You wrote it. We published it. It is what it is. That was the deal. So David Meck has gone around. He has spoken publicly about this. He has written articles. He has said, we need to stop using it. It's actually, I've debunked my own theory, but it is so salacious that we have continued to use it. Now let's bring that back to relationships. So what are we saying when we're saying we want an alpha male? Because remember, we weren't playing basketball. We're saying we want a male that we see all these tendencies with at the top, securing the bag. He's the leader. He's this and that. But when we're having someone that's working so hard to purport a certain demeanor, so hard to be recognized. You said the Napoleon complex, short man syndrome, too much ego, insecure. Where's that rooted from? He's not comfortable. He's stressed. He's insecure. He's got some concerns. And as a result, he's acting out. That's not a behavior that I would recommend that someone look for when they want to cleave to someone and create a home. But we have regaled this as, well, this is what I want, alpha male. And maybe it looks good in the sunshine, but behind closed doors and at night, you don't know what the darkness is that haunts that man. And we need to be careful.
And even in addition to that, it's like in sports, that may be a great attribute to have, like to be aggressive, to be able to lead, to be able that compete. Yes, that's great. But those are not great attributes inside of your house when you want there to be harmony. And when we say things like that, what we're really saying, the meaning of what we're saying is we want a man that doesn't feel comfortable in the space that he's in because this is not his home. And we don't know that we're saying that. So if he's not comfortable, but there are things that come from him not being comfortable, meaning if I don't do nothing else, I got to make this money. Like that drive, my man got drive. Your man is uncomfortable.
Your man is stressed.
Can this be the same for ladies that consider themselves alpha ladies?
But first of all, I'm so glad you said that, Eric. Because I was literally sitting here saying to myself, when we were talking about submission, being a woman that, you know, is well-versed and has degrees and well-spoken and intelligent and is about her, that's great. But we have to remember that the independent women stemmed from not having males present.
So they're acting out because they lack that.
They're
Wait,
overcompensating.
Overcompensating
because they don't want to.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a degree. There's nothing wrong
No, not at all.
with wanting to make sure that there's money in the bank.
And even though those wolves were captive, they were taken from someplace, right? So now they don't feel free. They're afraid. They're uncomfortable. They don't know what is to come. So it's the trauma response to react like that. So when you have this alpha female, right? And I know it's like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, and what you're doing is you're acting out of the trauma. You have not learned the lessons that your wounds are meant to teach. Instead, you have these callous and you're shielding it all behind this persona, this representative that is alpha. Because you don't want to be vulnerable. Because back when you were vulnerable, somebody took you. And you were stuck in a place where you didn't want to be. And come what may, that's not gonna happen again. So now I'm just going to continue to stay in this iceberg over here. And I'm gonna protect myself, but I'm gonna make sure that I look like what people respect. But what we really desire, we're saying one thing, doing another. What you really want in your heart is you want someone. I believe, was it Brittany? You want someone that would listen to your opinions and give value to it. And she was saying, overtly share. We don't always have to be quite so assertive with it, because when you want to share information, sometimes being a little too overt will cause the other person to be defensive and not hear anything you're saying.
Absolutely.
Right? But when you're in a space where the person feels safe, then they can be vulnerable. Then we can come together and cleave. In order to cleave, there must be an opening. When we get married, we're supposed to cleave together. But if both of us are closed, we just next to each other. In order to cleave, there must be a breaking and a coming together. And then that's where you get the 3-chord prom with the Lord. So what we're saying is, yes, I want this type of husband with a 3-chord prom, but it's an alpha male for me. And that math ain't mathing. And do your research.
So you mean to tell me that you'll get your hair done, your nails done, and your makeup done, but then you won't do anything to help you?
Girl, that math ain't mathing.
No. So when is it going to be the time that we stop working on the outer things and start figuring out the inner things?
Girl, I think the time is now. And so for you, I'd encourage you to strut over, slide over, get on through, getandstaymarried.com. Because what we have for you is not just this great conversation like we're having today. But it's an entire community to help you know and love yourself, but focus on what we put in and what we put on. So all our clients have a personal stylist, a year with a finance coach, a flexibility coach, a sex educator, because there's a lot of people having sex,
but they not good at it.
Oh, don't let that be you. So go ahead, sis, slide on through, getandstaymarried.com. But for now, back to the show.
You said something I have a question on. What do you deem to be the representative? You said they show up as the representative. What define what representative is?
Being who you believe the people around you require you to be.
False sense of self, in essence.
No, that's not you.
Okay.
But that's what you put on every day.
Gotcha.
Mask off. Mask on.
Understood.
Like, I am not able to be me because then they won't accept me. And let's be very clear. I know some of my clients' hairs are tingling because we talk about this all the time. Wives, he doesn't know me because I was never able to be me because I didn't think that he would accept me for me. That is so common. You are in a relationship with someone and they don't really know you. They know the you that you have allowed them to see.
Your representative.
That's your representative. And you know that you have a representative when there's like this secret, this dark space. I remember I did a reel about this, that intimacy cannot be improved where there's deception and dishonesty. And the way to crumble intimacy is to keep some things to yourself.
Absolutely.
That the other person can't see, can't know, can't have any inkling of, because then they wouldn't love you or they wouldn't accept you. Intimacy, into me, I see the truth of me. And I have enough self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, and self-respect, and self-kindness. Because if I continue to purport a representative, I continue to tell myself that the true me isn't good enough. And none of you would accept her. And so not only is it none of you would accept her, I don't accept her. So it's just, it's chaos.
And I don't accept her, but I want to. I really want to, but I also want a type of man. And that type of man only accepts this type of woman. So I have to be this type of woman to get the type of man that I think that I really want.
So you have relationships where it's a woman not being her true self to get a man who's not being his true self. And you can only fake in front for so long, but we ain't getting no younger. We might as well do it. So then let's get married. And then, 2, 3, sometimes just a year down the line, when we can no longer fake in front, it's like, I don't love you. How can I love you when I don't know you?
Or in a relationship, it's like, you weren't like this when we first got together. Because now I'm tired of putting this mask on it takes a lot to apply this. 24/7, now we here. Like, we're in the house. When we were living apart, when we were living separately, I had the opportunity to put it on, make it real cute, then come see you. Then when I got home, I really got to live in my own truth because it was just me by myself. But now I got to live like somebody else, or I have to be somebody else 24/7. I'm tired.
Yeah, I call it the bonnet effect. People talk about, especially Black women, and wearing bonnets, right? Because you don't ordinarily, hopefully, shout out to Auntie Monique, see the bonnets out in the street, right?
Oh, I see them in the street. And stop that shit.
Exactly, right? But the bonnets are worn at night to preserve the hairstyle. But when you see me, hair just on full fleet.
Right.
But you don't understand that in order to preserve this, in order to look like this every day, this is what goes on behind the scenes. It's the bonnet effect. It's like, and he's like, what is that? Like, why do you have to have that? Every time I saw you, your hair looked like this. Now we together, I made you my wife, and now I'm seeing all of this. I thought I was just going to get more of what I had. Yeah, well.
With that, man, we going to go for the tip of the day.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Tip of the day. Let me think of a good one. All right. So this goes out to those who are self-employed. Let's give some examples. Barbers. I DJ for 20 years. You can make a great living if you are upper echelon in your city. You know, 6 digits. Those type of individuals tend to cut corners on taxes.
Yes.
All right. So in order to take advantage of some of the lending that's out there for you to take advantage of, meaning using other people's money to get wealthy, you have to have a track record of being an earner. All right. So being an earner lets people know that you can support this loan.
Correct.
But if you keep avoiding taxes by going to purchase the G-Wagon and writing everything off, or because of this and that, like, I feel like a lot of people are not paying the taxes that they should in order to be able to maximize their end desire. A lot of us want wealth, but we are not doing the things today that it takes to do to accumulate money to reinvest to get to the wealth.
Yes.
So transparently, I DJ'd. I hate paying taxes. So when I started paying taxes as I employed myself, it was hard for me to understand, why am I paying $30,000, $40,000 in taxes? Like, what? That's another employee. But in 2016, I wrote a check for $430 to the Fed.
It felt good.
No, I was sick as hell. Like, I wrote a check for $100 before, but $430, that hurt. Like, I mean, man, that's 5 years worth of salary for some people, right? So 6 months later, I got a credit line for $4 million. So thinking small, I was not, I would have never got there.
That's right.
Still writing off everything I purchased to decrease my tax liability.
Yes.
Would have actually been a hindrance to my success.
Yes.
But actually paying the taxes, I bought 9 rental properties in 9 months, rehabbed them, and start building generational wealth.
Yes.
So today, in all those properties, let's say my first 9, I have nearly like $800,000 in equity. Wow. And that's because I paid the taxes. And so today there's ways for me to write off that tax liability. If I flip one or sold one and I gained $100,000 on profit, I could put it into a 1031 exchange.
That's right.
Where I can now not pay taxes on the profit and reinvest it into 2 or 3 more properties
That's right.
to grow my portfolio. Today, I could refinance them and take out, let's just say $50,000 to $60,000 out of each one and not pay taxes because when you refinance, it's a loan. And so there's now that money's protected because I now have the knowledge on not only how to grow my money, but how to avoid paying taxes in the correct way.
Right.
And without losing assets and be still being able to gain.
Absolutely.
So I don't lose my assets. I actually gain liquidity. We're going into recession. So I could get liquid now and do things based on paying taxes in 2017, 16, 17, and so forth.
Yes.
So pay your taxes. It will increase your purchase power and everything else. So that's the tip of the day. Again, subscribe at the top, like, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend. But before we go, if you need help because you are attracted to the alpha males, or if you that chick that, oh my God, I ain't even gonna comment on you because we love you here. It's a safe place. They could go visit you at
getandstaymarried.com or the Marriage Makeover on IG.
Don't take it personal, man. Just come back to the next episode so I can apologize to you. Peace.